Hello everyone, and welcome to a fascinating journey through the history of dubbing. This isn't just a story about translating dialogues, it's about cultural exchanges, hilarious mishaps, and how dubbing has shaped our experience of global entertainment. Let's start from the beginning. Dubbing, as we know it, began in the 1930s. Before this, silent films were the norm, and the only dubbing you needed was a pianist in the cinema playing along with the film. But with the advent of sound in movies, there came a challenge. What do you do when your audience speaks another language? The first attempts at dubbing were, let's say, experimental at best. Imagine a scene where the lips say "I love you," but the voice says "Ich liebe dich" about 3 seconds later. Yes, early dubbing was more lip-sync phase than perfect matches. But why dub? Why not just use subtitles? Well, here's a fun fact. During the early days of cinema, literacy rates weren't as high as they are today. Subtitles weren't as effective if a significant portion of our audience couldn't read them quickly enough. Thus, dubbing became a necessity. One of the first major dubbed films was the 1931 classic Dracula.
I am Dracula.
It was dubbed in multiple languages, but here's the catch. They shot each version using the same sets, but with different casts. So you had a Spanish Dracula at night and an English Dracula during the day on the same set.
La sangre de Drácula corre ya por las venas de la señorita Seward.
Talk about a vampire's work schedule. As dubbing evolved, so did its challenges and quirks. In Italy, during the 1930s and 1940s, films were dubbed to not just translate but also to censor and alter content to fit the era's stringent moral and political codes. Imagine watching a film where a passionate love scene turns into a discussion about the weather. Not exactly the same impact, right? One hilarious anecdote from the world of dubbing involves the famous James Bond series. In the Japanese dub of The Spy Who Loved Me, the infamous line, "I think he's attempting re-entry," was translated into a literal comment about spacecraft maneuvers, a little less risque and a lot more space-oriented. Now, in the 1950s and 60s, as technology improved, so did dubbing techniques. The process became more sophisticated, and efforts were made to match the lip movements more closely. But this didn't always go as planned. There are countless instances where characters would mysteriously stop speaking mid-sentence, or continue talking even after the lips had stopped moving. It was like watching a ventriloquist at work. In these early days, some voice actors became legends in their own way, in their own right. For instance, in Italy, a single actor dubbed voices from actors ranging from Charlie Chaplin to Sylvester Stallone. Imagine Rocky Balboa with an elegant Italian flair. As we wrap up this first part of our dubbing history journey, let's appreciate the evolution of this art. From days of unintended comedy to mismatched lip-syncing to becoming a key part of the global film industry, dubbing has come a long way. Now, we dive into the golden era of dubbing and some of the most amusing blunders that have graced our screens. The 1970s to the 90s were a golden era for dubbing. As international cinema and TV shows gained popularity, dubbing became an art form. Voice actors became stars in their own right, and dubbing studios proliferated. But with great dubbing came great opportunities for errors. One classic story comes from the Italian dubbing of Gone with the Wind, and the famous scene where Weth Butler says, "Frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn." The Italian version translated it to something like, "Frankly, my dear, this doesn't matter to me." Not quite the same punch, right? It's like turning a fiery exit into a polite departure. Then there is anime dubbing, a word unto itself. In the early days of anime in the West, cultural differences led to some creative translations. For instance, in the English dub of a popular anime, onigiri were called jelly donuts to make them more relatable. Imagine the confusion of every kid trying to find these donuts at their local store. Dubbing also created unintended celebrities. Take, for example, the German voice actor who dubbed David Hasselhoff in Knight Rider and Baywatch. He became so synonymous with Hasselhoff that people would recognize his voice on the streets. But it wasn't always smooth sailing. Dubbing bloopers are a job in themselves. There was a Spanish dub of a famous action movie where a dramatic line got translated as "I have the power of a bird's heart," and the original line was simply about having courage. I guess nothing says courage like channeling the heart of a bird. In the 80s and 90s, as TV shows became a global phenomenon, dubbing took on a new challenge, matching voice to character. Ever watched your favorite show in another language and thought, "So what Joey from Friends sounds like?" It's a bit like hearing your favorite song in a different genre, familiar yet strangely new. Let's not forget the lip-sync battles. No, not the fun kind. And to match dialogue to lip movements led to some hilarious results. Sometimes the dubbed dialogue would be so out of sync that characters looked like had developed a certain case of telepathy. One of the most entertaining aspects of dubbing is when cultural references get lost in translation. Like when a specific American joke is translated literally into another language, making absolutely no sense, leaving audiences wondering if it's the new kind of humor they are not aware of. Despite the challenges and blunders, the golden era of dubbing was crucial. It brought the world closer, allowing us to experience a multitude of cultures from our living rooms. Dubbing broke down language barriers and opened up new worlds of entertainment. As we conclude part 2 of our journey through the history of dubbing, let's remember the laughter and the occasional head-scratching moments it has brought us. So now we're jumping into a modern era of dubbing, where technology meets art, sometimes with laugh-out-loud consequences. As we moved into the 21st century, the art of dubbing underwent a technological revolution. Digital recording and new software made syncing voices to on-screen lips easier than ever. But as we all know, with great technology comes great potential for hilarious mishaps. One of the modern challenges of dubbing is dealing with automated software. You might think a computer would get it right all the time. But oh, how wrong you'd be. There was an instance where an automated dubbing system consistently mistranslated a character's name as a common kitchen appliance. Imagine the hero of your favorite show suddenly being called Fridge. Then there's the rise of online streaming platforms. They brought international shows to global audiences, increasing the demand for high-quality dubbing. But sometimes things get lost in the high-speed translation. Like the time a serious, dramatic line in a Spanish show was translated into English as "his cheese has slipped off his cracker," leaving viewers both confused and amused. Let's talk about voice acting in the modern era. Today, voice actors can work from almost anywhere in the world, thanks to digital recording. This global village approach sometimes leads to amusing cultural exchanges. There was a case where a voice actor had to dub a character eating a hamburger but having never eaten one themselves, had to guess the sound. The result? Let's just say it was more alien encounter than fast food experience. Dubbing today is not just about translating words, it's about localizing content and can get culturally relevant to different audiences. Cultural localization can have its funny moments. Like when a well-known American fast food chain's slogan was translated in a way that made it sound like a life advice service rather than a place to grab a burger. Modern dubbing also faces the challenge of matching the original actor's performance. It's not about saying the lines, it's about conveying the emotion, the tone, and sometimes even the actor's unique mannerisms. This can lead to some humorous interpretations, especially when the dubbing actor gets a little too into the character. One of the most significant changes in modern dubbing is the use of AI and machine learning. While it offers incredible potential, it's not without its quirks. There have been instances where AI-dubbed dialogues came out sounding like a mix between a robot and a very confused tourist, leaving audiences both baffled and in stitches. As we wrap up this part of our dubbing history adventure, let's appreciate how far we've come. From manual syncing and cultural mishaps to AI and global collaborations, dubbing continues to evolve, bringing us laughter, joy, and a few "what did I just say?" moments. Thank you for watching this video till the end. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more content. Until next time, keep enjoying the wonderful world of movies and TV shows in whatever language you prefer. It was JEELMIN, and see you next time.